Theoretically, an even much more paranoid conspiratorial phone call. Interview. The casting director, part 2. Hi, my name is Jorge Villacorta. I work as a casting director in Theoretically an even much more paranoid conspiratorial phone call. I was explaining that the casting process is a activity that is developed subject to the habitus, the social subjectivity, the socialized subjectivity that corresponds to the people working in the production. The casting director usually have a particular habitus. Well, the point is this. I was mentioning that in some cases the practices are different. Just describing an experience. An Italian director chooses an Italian fisherman and extracts a performance that is considered artistic, or that calls the attention, or that gathers an audience, a paying audience. Then an American company hires the same person, and the American production and the technicians cannot do anything with this person because they don't know how to deal with him in order to make a movie. Yeah. What does it mean? It means several things. The very first thing is that we must differentiate between our mind and reality. Why? Because our mind works with concepts. The concepts are not outside, the concepts are inside our mind. While the reality has its own characteristics and is incredibly diversified. Our mind generalizes reality and creates concepts or theories about how it works. So, what our mind uses is different than what the reality is. But we must study reality in order to have those viewpoints in our mind. And when we go to the reality, we already have thoughts organized in theories. These theories are the ones that guide how we obtain information from reality. Then, when we are talking about casting directing, I just mentioned an example. We are using categories. We are using a classification system. We are talking about actors and the value of their performances. But the value of the performances, the performance value, depends at the same time of a particular field. How do you obtain a judgment on that area? There are social places where those judgments are formed because there is a paying audience and there is an audience that doesn't pay. So the main point is the classification system to say this actor is very good, it implies that there is a system where the movie is given a rating number, and is ranked against some practices. I won't say chart because sometimes or most of the times, how your taste is not conscious. The taste, and we are returning to the taste again. Okay. The Distinction, a book by Pierre Bourdieu, deals with the taste. So, there is the value, the performance value is a social product. And there is a system to create such value. Someone must say that a performance is valuable in order to have a valuable performance. It doesn't mean, because it is not something intrinsic to the performance itself. It's only in relation to other performances that they acquire value. Naturally, only those who have as a previous model this performance will say that it is valuable. Those who don't have in their minds the classification system in which these performances are good won't qualify it, won't say that it is good. Okay? So it means this, that we have concepts in our mind, we use categories, we have theories, sometimes it's not a conscious thing, it's just a practice that is not in our mind. In this particular case, in this interview, I'm talking about trying to look at the casting directing process from a scientific viewpoint, or at least from a conscious viewpoint that is conscious at the same time of what kind of classification system is using, applying to understand the practice. But usually, this is not conscious, this is just a practice. You don't question your own assumptions, and those assumptions are in your body, are in your daily practice, and you say this is good, this is bad, because you learned that from your social environment. That is what happened with the performance. There is an environment where there are productions, and the people who is aligned with this socialized activity knows what is good and is bad according to a tradition, and knows the limits, the scope that where you can situate your performance. Therefore, if we talk a wonderful performance in Italy, and it is generated by a movie made by Italians with Italians, you must understand the Italian taste probably is very different from the American taste, and that an American doesn't necessarily like what an Italian likes. So something so basic as saying this is Italian, this is American, in a casting director process cannot be wasn't understood by an American who was developing the casting process, or a producer, because they imagine that way they were sold the idea that that performance was good, but they don't understand, because my point is here that probably, and we should study how the version that stated that it was a good performance was generated by the Italian press, or by the Italian experts, or by the Italians who were in the production sector. So the Americans were sold the idea that they had this wonderful performance, or the intellectuals around the world that all of them have sometimes similar patterns due to the nature of what activity they develop, decided that this was a good performance, and the Americans bought the idea that it was a good performance.